We're grading the Lost Caverns of Ixalan Commander Precons from worst all the way to best.
I'm Mia, and I like pretzel M&Ms the best.
I'm BZ, and I'm thinking Kit Kats are probably one of the best candies lately. We're the Nitpicking Nerds. You have a couple options now. This is a brand new option you haven't had before. Dragon Shield. They got the best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
But now, when you go to the link in our description, you can use code
NERDS
to save 5% on your Dragon Shield order. Blowing your mind.
Use the link down and use the code to get that sweet, sweet discount. We're also sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. If you also use the code
NERDS
at checkout, you can save 5%, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on your order there.
Yeah, this is real money tax dollars that you're saving on cool stuff. Dragon Shield also real money, but cool stuff money you're saving is real money tax dollars.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, taxes, man, right?
We're also sponsored by Moxfield. Oh boy, there's going to be an ad somewhere in the video. You're not going to be able to guess where it is. Feel free to try. If you got it right, you cheated.
Also, happy birthday to everyone whose birthday is today and your pets.
So the Lost Caverns of Ixalan Precons are looking sick. They're all typo-based. We got merfolk, pirates, dinosaurs, and vampires. We're going to be covering the commander of each deck, the game plan, the best reprints, the best new cards, the best budget ads, the best non-budget ads, and then 5 cuts to the deck because all these Precons always have bad cards in them. But a note before we start, to buy all 4 Precons cost you about $140, so keep that in mind. We also are going to list the actual price of each Precon. We're starting off with what we think is the weakest of these 4 Precons, and that's Ahoy Mateys. This is about a $40 Precon. The commander is Admiral Brass Unsinkable. It's 2 blue, black, red for a 3/3. When she enters the battlefield, mill 4 cards. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you can return a pirate creature from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. It has base power and toughness 4/4, and it gains haste until end of turn, and the finality counter means that if it dies, it gets exiled instead.
I really like this mechanic. I think it makes it really interesting, and pirates haven't had a lot of support prior. So the idea of being able to bring them back from your graveyard, and then if you blink them, the finality counter leaves just to get them back and get some sweet ETBs, I think that's really fun.
This commander's cool. I think what brings this deck down a little bit, not that it's a bad deck or anything, it's just there's not a lot of ways to mill or get pirates in your graveyard or discard them. And the pirates themselves, it's like an unexplored creature type. We've only had like 3 or 4 sets that even had pirates in them. So they're pretty bad overall. They're not like at the quality of most creature type decks that you'd see running around.
But moving on to reprints is one card that hasn't gotten a reprint ever. It's actually Black Market Connections at $30. I'm so excited to see this.
I mean, most of these Precons, if not all of them, have at least one banger card. I mean, we're going to get to them all, but I'm really impressed with the reprint quality because we don't go down from $30 to like a $2 land. These $2 lands don't even make it into these Precon lists. This is Pitiless Plunderer next for $11. This card also I don't think has ever really seen a reprint, not a meaningful one. Hopefully this brings the price down a little bit because that's like an in-demand uncommon.
Port Razor is also one at $5. Getting those extra combat steps is going to be really fun, especially when you can flicker it.
Yeah, Time Stream Navigator's $8. I did not know that was $8. This card can like combo with stuff, so I'm glad it's getting reprinted.
And Vanquisher's Banner at $5. This goes good in any creature type deck, and it just lends a lot of support to pirates.
So just those 5 cards, the best 5 reprints, already totals up to $60. And I mentioned that the deck was $40, so I see no issue with buying this or any of the Precons. So that basically comes down to how good is the deck, how functional is it?
There are some really awesome new cards within these, though. One is the Indomitable. 2 blue for a 6/6 Trampler with Crew 3. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. You can cast it from your graveyard if you control 3 tap pilots and/or vehicles. Now, I'm probably not going to be using this to swing, but an artifact that stays on the field that says draw a card every time a creature deals combat damage, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, this is Biden of Thassa. You know, you don't have to worry about the fact that it's a 6/6 Trampler. It says Biden of Thassa or Coastal Piracy, Reconnaissance Mission, whatever. But you can attack with it if you really need to. And it's got Trample, which is like, it's going to push through damage, then draws the card itself. It's like, cool, you know, your 3/3 can't get in, I'll do it. And then if it dies or you mill it somehow, you just need to crew with another vehicle, tap those things down, they don't have to get into combat, and then this thing just comes back.
I think it's really sweet getting that flavor win in there too, like the ships. I think that's
like
fun.
You unsink the ship, is that the pirates like restore it, right? That's what happens?
I don't know. I don't watch that many pirate movies, but I do like the fact that it's like ships, pirates, and everything. Like
I don't think you need to watch a pirate movie to think that pirates could restore a pirate ship.
I don't know.
I think that happened in Pirates of the Caribbean. That was the whole movie.
Isn't that a movie I'd have to watch regarding pirates?
Next for the best new cards, we got Don Andres, the Renegade. 1 blue, black, red for a 4/3. Each creature you control but don't own gets +2/+2 menace, death touch, and is a pirate. And when you cast a non-creature spell that you don't own, you make 2 treasures. I don't really understand what's going on here. This seems like a commander of his own thing, so forget it in this deck. It's a dud. But it's really cool as like its own deck.
I'm really excited to see the decks that this actually brings out. I want to see it with that one enchantment that says if they deal combat damage to you, reveal the top of their library and you can play it.
Oh yeah, like Cunning Rhetoric?
Yeah. I would love to see that type of deck because I think that's really fun.
This is a cool card. It's probably going to like birth a new deck over there somewhere. We also have Broadside Bombardiers. It's 2 red for a 2/2 menace haste. It has Boast. Remember that mechanic? You don't. Sack an artifact or other creature. Deal 2 damage plus the mana value of the sacrifice permanent to any target. You can only boast once and when the creature attacks. So you sack like a 3-drop. You deal 2 + 3 damage. You deal 5 damage to something. And this thing does it right away. It's got evasion. So you can attack a player with 2 creatures. Use the Boast to kill one of them and then this thing can't be blocked.
I also really love this considering in the deck itself, it's a really good way to sacrifice pirates because there aren't a ton of ways. And then just outside of the deck, just having that sack outlet and dealing a ton of damage, that's really a good thing to have on board.
Time for some budget adds. Now, I did say the word mill before, so you know I'm going to add Perpetual Timepiece to this deck. It taps to mill you for 2, and it's even some built-in graveyard protection. But we need something to fuel Beckett Brass. She's just kind of sitting there. If you mill, 4 lands or something, and you just feel sad, you're like, well, what does this card even do? But when she actually has the pirates, she's super good.
Yeah, it does nothing until you get some pirates in there. Another one is Spinerock Knoll, because you're going to be dealing a ton of damage to people with your pirates, and then you can just tap 1 and cast the free spell underneath. It's a solid budget land.
Yeah, Flood of Tears bounces everything, but if you bounce 4 of your own things, you get to put something else back. So pre-combat, you can bounce everything. This resets the creatures that have finality counters. They don't get exiled. They just lose the counter and go back to your hand. Then, since you bounce 4 things, you put out Beckett Brass, trigger it, take your best pirate out of the graveyard, and now you're just like way ahead.
Forerunner for the Coalition is great too. Back in the previous Ixalan block, there was a lot of tutors for creature types, and this is the one for pirates, so it's gonna fit right at home.
Yeah, you can also just use something like Zephyr Singer. It's a cheap pirate. It's like 5 cents for March of the Machine. You just convoke it, cast it for pretty cheap, give flying to a bunch of things. But Mia, hit it with some non-budget ads, some spicy wallet bangers.
One of the spicy wallet bangers is Phyrexian Tower, because you're going to be able to sack your creatures and actually put them in the graveyard and get a little bit of mana out of it too.
Yeah, that's going to re-trigger things like Dockside Extortionist. Have you heard of it? It's a pirate, so Beckett Brass can bring it back and you can probably do loops with it. Let's not worry too much about that. Just play a 2-mana 1/2 that gives you like 8 treasures.
Kindred Dominance is also a great one in this because it's going to wipe everyone else's creatures because you're going to be naming pirate, and usually there's not a lot of pirates on the board.
Yeah, like humans, wizards, that's probably going to leave a few things. Pirate, I don't think your opponents have any pirates out. Kindred Discovery is amazing. In any typal deck, whenever pirates enter or attack, you draw a card. Beckett Brass is already doing this twice per trigger when the thing enters, and then when it attacks right away because it has haste. Just amazing.
And another one is Pirated Copy. I really like this because it counts as a pirate in the graveyard too. So you can keep getting those copy triggers, like if you flicker it, or you bring it back, you flicker it, and then you sack it again. You can just keep doing that. I think that's really fun and really awesome use of it. But moving on to the cuts that we have for this deck, one of them, we had to say it, is Windfall. We just don't think that putting a bunch of cards into your graveyard, 7 at max maybe, is going to be worth giving your opponents 21.
Yeah, I do not want to give my opponents that many cards. I have no way to capitalize on this. This was in the Sliver deck also for no reason, because it was like, oh, you fill up your graveyard, but it's like, but you lose the game when you cast this card. You're down so many resources. All of the time you spent grinding value and getting ahead and drawing cards is just undone when everybody draws a million cards.
Absolutely. I just think that if you have a hand and you are going to use Windfall to get a better hand anyways, your hand's kind of trash, and you probably don't even have 7 cards that you want to just throw away either, so you're not even getting max value.
Now, let's go to Azure Fleet Admiral. I don't mind this card. It's kind of mid, though. I don't think it's going to scale super well in higher tune decks, so I'd probably just cut it. Monarch is cool, but I don't know. I'm not feeling this one too much.
Departed Deckhand is another one that we would definitely cut. It's just spirits can only block it, and it's okay, and another thing can be blocked by spirits if you want, but
this is a card you put in your deck and then you just never activate it. We also have the Ghost of Ramirez de Pietro, who is also dead. This guy wants you to mill, so he's kind of on theme. I think if you went in a more mill or discard heavy deck, it'd be good, but as far as this precon goes, you just get it out of here.
Daring Saboteur is also not that great. It's draft chaff. You're not going to be paying his cost. Just get it out of here.
This card used to be a rare. So sad.
But if we're going to talk about awesome decks, we're going to talk about Moxfield.com, the best place online to build a deck.
How do you think we looked at these decks? They were already on Moxfield because the amazing people at Moxfield put the Wizards of the Coast official Precons in the Wizards of the Coast official account so that you can see exactly what the Precons look like without the risk of like, oh, David 123J altered 3 cards and didn't tell anybody, but it says Precon list. Don't worry about it. They got you covered.
I love the fact that they actually upload other formats Precons too. So if you want to check it out, look at the Wizards of the Coast account on Moxfield.
Yeah, it's the account that says Wizards, run by the people at Moxfield. Super helpful. I mean, just the endless list of Moxfield benefits. It's making you think I should go to moxfield.com. The next precon we have is number 3, Velociraptor. This is a $60 precon, so it's the most expensive, but you'll probably start to see why. The commander is Pantlaza, Sun Favored. 2 white, green, red for a 4/4. When she or another dinosaur enters the battlefield under your control, you can discover X, where X is that creature's toughness, but you only do it once per turn. Although I guess if you flickered this, you could do it multiple times per turn. Discover is basically Cascade, so if you discover 4, you flip to hit a card that costs 4 or less and cast it for free.
I really like the fact that there is another commander besides Zakama now for dinosaurs. This looks really fun, and I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, it was Gishath and Zakama and then nothing. So now we have this and a couple other ones. It's pretty sweet. I will note that with Discover, you don't have to cast the card. You can also put it into your hand, but everyone who was going to tell me that has already commented it, so it's too late. How about the best reprints?
The best reprint? Oh my god, Akroma's Will at $20 right now? That is a sick one, and because you're going to be doing combat damage so much, this is just a finisher.
Yeah, this card is like a complete I win the game button. Super, super awesome. Apex Altasaur, $14 card. Did not know that. I have like 2 copies lying around. I hope they're less now because $14 is a little bit much to pay for this thing.
Xenagos, God of Revels at $11. I mean, combat again, this is going to really help chip and damage.
Totally. Chandra's Ignition is a $10 card, and that is a desperately needed reprint. It's a friggin' like random rare from Origins, but it's a pretty good card. Only downside is that it does target, so make sure they don't have any removal.
I didn't know it was $10. That's crazy.
I know, right? And then Descendant's Path. I actually don't like this card at all. But you can just take this $8 card, sell it to somebody who wants it for their Typal deck, and then be rid of it.
I'm just so excited to say that one of the reprints is Zatalpa.
Wow.
Have you heard of that one?
They reprinted Itali and Zatalpa. Just like, finally. Those cards were just getting so expensive. I think they're 20 cents now. Only because of this reprint. Yeah, they were so much money before. But I think we're good now. I think we don't need any more Itali and Zatalpa reprints ever, actually.
Ever. But unlike Itali and Zatalpa, there are some really cool new cards coming out. One of them, Dinosaur Egg. For 1 green, you get 0/3 Evolve. When it dies, you discover X, where X is its toughness. So you're going to be putting counters on this thing. It's going to get pretty big, and you're going to be able to slap something down.
It's a nice early drop dinosaur, and then as you play your other ones, it gets bigger. But even if you just play it and sack it, you still discover 3. That's a whole card. That's definitely worth 2 mana.
Yeah, I really think so, especially if you think of that in kind of cascadey terms. I'd spend that.
Yeah. The next is a formula that Wizards has mastered. It's the whenever the creature of your creature type deals damage, deal that much damage to this. It's Wrathful Raptors. It's a 4 mana. It's a 5 mana 5/5 trample, and it's got that text on it. It's just like Wrathful Red Dragon. It's like the same card. So I guess whenever a creature type can have a red creature, it's going to cost 5, be a 5/5, have some other minor ability, and then have the huge upside of when you're blasphemous acting or blowing things up, you can just kill people. And also, dinosaurs are the enraged deck, so this is totally on theme.
Every creature type needs one creature that says if it's dealt damage, it deals damage to something else. And dinosaurs didn't have that yet, so I'm happy they finally got it. Curious Altasaur is also a great new card in here. 3 green for a 2/5 Vigi Reach. Whenever a dinosaur you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. It's kind of hard to find card draw in Naya sometimes, so it is really helpful to get it on a dinosaur body too.
Yeah, because you could play Toski and you can play Orin Frostfang, but they're not dinosaurs. This has got the full package. You can tutor it with all your dinosaur stuff. It triggers everything when you cast or when a dinosaur dies or whatever, and it's got that super sweet damage draw ability. On to the budget ads. They actually covered a lot of the budget dinosaurs they're already in this deck, but a few that I might add. Annoyed Altasaur is just a nice, cheap budget-wise top end. It'll cascade into something, and it's pretty cool. Maybe you have maybe you want to go the Discover route and have some more synergy, so that would be good.
Raging Swordstooth is also a great budget ad for this. It's going to deal 1 damage to all of the other creatures, and it's really great if you have the Enrage mechanic active.
Yeah, so you could go I can go the Cascade route with the Annoyed Altasaur, or I can go the Enrage route and put a bunch of those Enrage cards in my deck, and then put things like a Raging Swordtooth in there. It's also Knight of the Stampede, which makes your dinosaurs cost 2 less. That's a good reduction. It's pretty cheap. I was actually surprised it wasn't in here. Lelia is the exile side of it, where she exiles cards, and then when you exile cards, like you do with Discover, she gets bigger. And then finally, Shamanic Revelation. Just draw a card for each creature you control. If you go wide, and dinosaurs also kind of go tall, so like you're gaining life and drawing cards.
I think that's actually just going to round out the deck. It's going to be so beefy and combat focused that no one's going to know where to actually swing.
That is the problem with this deck, and why it's number 3, not higher. This deck is so clunky. There's like so many 6s, 7s, and 8s in here. There's a little bit of ramp, but it's not enough that makes me think, oh yeah, I can always cast these spells. I'm not going to have a dead dinosaur in every opening hand.
When you have the beefy creatures, you're just going to have like a dead draw, because sometimes you can't ramp fast enough, especially in a precon. Like, they're not giving you the good stuff, like the non-budget ads that we're going to talk about right here. First one we can add is Atali, Primal Conqueror. I mean, you're going to get everyone's top card and be able to cast all of them for free. It has Infect on the back, and this is way more expensive than I thought it was, because I thought it was like 50 cents.
Yeah, it's like bulk rare-ish, but it's just too good. People are like, no, this isn't a bulk rare. This is a really good card. And they're right. It's like a $6 card. Displace dinosaurs. All your historic stuff, whether it's like cheap artifacts or rampy things, is now dinosaurs, which is super funny in a dinosaur deck. It's not just a like food deck.
But if you want to get the king of all dinosaurs here, Ghalta Stampede Tyrant is amazing. You're going to put all of your creature cards down. Can you beat that?
Hopefully not. If your dinosaurs have haste, it's just like, oh, here's Gishath and Zatalpa and Colossal Dreadmaw with haste. Like, you're dead. Polani's Hatcher, it makes like weird eggs and is good for dinos, but also just gives your dinosaurs haste. So that's one of the ways when you cast Ghalta, you just go like, here's 3 dinosaurs, one of them's this. Now they have haste, and you just kill somebody?
That's really good. Also, with Urza's Incubator, we were complaining a little bit earlier about the fact that you can't ramp super fast into it. But if you have this, cost 2 less, and you're going to be able to get all of those big creatures faster.
Yeah, you can cast like 2 6-drops with 8 mana instead of 12 mana, which is just the hugest thing. I think every dinosaur deck that has the money for this should definitely just buy it. But we do got to make some cuts for those sweet cards we just mentioned. Mia's got 2 French vanillas here for you to cut.
Shifting Ceratops and Majestic Heliopterus?
I think it's Heliopterus, but I like Heliopterus.
Look, I don't know that much about dinosaurs, but I know that these are vanilla.
They are really not that good. Bellowing Aegisaur puts counters and it has Enrage. This deck isn't an Enrage deck at its face, so like unless you're doing that, take this card out. And even if you're doing that, it's 6 mana. It's really not that great. Vernon Sun's Avatar gains life. We don't really need life. We don't need a 7-drop dinosaur. We have like plenty of those.
It definitely shines in the right deck. I've seen it do wonders in Bellatrix, but it's not needed here. And the final cut is Zatalpa, Primal Dawn. Because stop reprinting it, Wizards.
Leave it alone. Stop beating a dead horse. It's not. I don't even think it's a card I would play in this deck. Stop.
But moving on to number 2 is the Explorer deck with Explorers of the Deep at $40. The commander, the Merfolk one, is Hackball of the Surging Soul. 2 green and a blue for a 3/3. At the beginning of combat on your turn, each Merfolk creature you control explores. Whenever it attacks, you can put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you don't, draw a card. This is going to be a lot of card advantage because you're going to be spamming tons of Merfolk.
Yeah, I love a little Explorer, and this thing actually just explores like way more than I thought it would, or than I would expect a Precon commander to. If you control 5 Merfolk, you play this, go to combat, it immediately triggers. You get to explore 5 times. That's starting to be like real card advantage. And now I have like a bunch of lands in my hand, and it's like, oh, I can't quite put all these lands down fast enough. Hackball's like, I got you. Just attack with me.
I mean, you're going to be putting counters on stuff too, so that's just more than a little Explorer.
Yeah, this card,
it's
maybe
a big one.
A big one. This is a pretty strong Magic card. The best reprints, $47 total of these 5 cards. The first one is Branching Evolution. It's $20 and doubles all the countery things going on. This is like a sub-theme of counters because you're exploring. When you do that, you get like counters sometimes, and doubling that up is cool.
Thassa, God of the Sea at $9 is also reprinted here. I love the fact that the gods are actually getting reprinted. They needed it.
Not a flavor win, but throwing in Xenagos and Thassa, it's like, sure, we'll take it. Metallic Mimic, I notoriously hate this card. It's $8 though. I don't know why. You can actually take it out of the Precon, sell it, and then put in like a basic forest, and you're good to go.
It's that bad.
I really don't. We'll get to it. It may be one of the cards we're cutting, and no spoilers. But Kumena, Tyrant of Araska, is like the best Merfolk for this deck. It's $6 right now, and he's tapping Merfolk to draw cards and tapping Merfolk to get bigger, and just like, he's a tank.
I'm happy to see it in here, considering there aren't that many strong merfolk, and not only is this giving it support, but we actually have the good ones in here.
Yeah.
We also have Realm Walker too, because you're going to be getting that card advantage. You're going to be looking at the top. You can actually just see what you're going to be getting. That's fun.
Changelings need to fill in some of the merfolk ranks because there's not that many good merfolk.
But along with some great reprints, we're also going to go to some really awesome new cards. Bygone Marvels is a great one. Green for sorcery. You descend 8, which you're going to be able to trigger pretty easily with Explore. And if you descend, you copy the spell twice. You're going to return the permanent from a graveyard to your hand. You could maybe do it twice and then exile it.
Yeah, so if you cast this on turn 2, you can get back a fetch land or whatever. Great, cool. If you cast it on like turn 7 and you have 8 permanents in your graveyard, you can get back your best 3 permanents. I don't know if this is... They keep making Eternal Witness variants, and they're never as good as Eternal Witness. So I don't know if this will be as good, but it's definitely an option to try if your deck can put a bajillion things in the graveyard.
I think that I'm happy that there's getting more graveyard synergies than the ones we're seeing in like Golgari. I'm really excited to see Simic graveyards. I think that's fun.
It's still green, so it's probably going to come right out of this deck and go into your Golgari deck. Let's go to Tributary Instructor, 3 and green for a 4/4 mentor. Whenever a creature you control with a +1 counter on it dies, you draw a card. This is a nice... This effect kind of exists elsewhere, but I'm glad to have it on a merfolk and actually just tie the deck together. Let me go get this with my tutors.
Speaking of card draw in this deck, I'm actually really pleasantly surprised to see the amount of card draw you can get in this deck and just card advantage in general.
Yeah, it's pretty solid, especially with the commander who just says just start drawing and like surveilling basically when you explore. It's super, super good. Wave Goodbye, funniest name and really good card. 2 blue sorcery, return all creatures without +1 counters on them to their owner's hands. Most of your stuff's going to have it, especially since it explores for free. Like, the power of this with Hackbull is like you go to combat, explore. The top card of your library is whatever, Soul Ring. You can just keep it for every single explorer and put a counter on every single one of your merfolk, then cast this and it's a one-sided wipe.
The fact that it's 4 mana too, that's pretty insane. That's a great rate.
Even if it's just bounced every creature, 4 mana to do that is actually pretty good. So this card looks pushed and I'm happy to play it. Let's go to some budget ads. Now, like the dinosaur deck, they really didn't leave out any budget merfolk that I thought of. As soon as I thought of one, I was like, oh, what about this? In the deck. Well, maybe this one. Nope, in the deck. Scroll down 3 pages later. Nope, it's still in the deck. There's 30,000 merfolk in here, but they don't have merfolk looter. So that's one of the ways you could go if you want to like untap and tap shenanigans. That could be cool. It's literally one of the only budget merfolk they didn't include, along with Jade Light Ranger, which is nice because it has extra exploring synergy.
There's also Jazdy, Oracle of Arcavios. You're going to be casting the backside after you explore and getting that value.
Yeah. When you explore, you like... you keep digging for lands, and then you get like 8 lands in your hand. And then you can cast the backside, which is put all the lands from your hand into play tapped. And then if you have enough of them, you can get this thing back. And it just kind of like loops. And now you have more mana and more mana. And it's just like a snowball. I don't know how you're supposed to beat that, but that seems like one of the coolest budget ads for me.
I mean, Simic value. Simic is known for its value. And the fact that this has so much of it is definitely why it's higher up on our list.
Yeah, Rishkar, our boy, a.k.a. Racecar, he puts counters on things, and then your things with counters can tap for mana. So he's not a merfolk, but he's an honorary super mega mana dork.
Mystic Confluence is also a great piece to add in here. You want counter spells, you want card draw, you want bounce, this does it all.
Yeah, the blue decks are usually light on counter spells, so I figure I'd throw one more in there. It's a nice, like, generic-y piece of interaction, but it's still good to have. How about non-budget ads? What do we add?
Non-budget ads, we have Wanderwine Prophets. You're going to get extra turns out of it, and, I mean, that's what Blue's known for, right?
Yeah, when you start hitting with it and getting all that stuff, you get extra turns, and it's just kind of silly. What else?
Great Henge, because this has gone down in price recently, and it also gives +1/+1 counters to your creatures when they come out.
It's literally perfect. Deep Root Pilgrimage is going to just poop out more merfolk, and then you just... Now those merfolk are exploring. We don't care what kind of merfolk, token, non-token, who cares? Changeling, bring them all in, because we're going to explore a bajillion times with it.
A bajillion, absolutely. Urza's Incubator, I know we mentioned it prior, but the cost reduction is always nice in creature-type decks.
Yeah, Kindred Summons, too. This card is like a serious bomb. I don't really see it too much, but maybe that's because if I did see it, the game would end in like 4 seconds. If you have 7 merfolk out, it goes and finds 7 merfolk, puts them into play. It's an instant. Now they're going to start exploring, get bigger, and this card is sweet. I love it a lot.
But of course, it's a precon, and we're going to have to cut some cards that don't have as much synergy. One of them, Aetherize. I would never want to play this. Returnal attacking creatures? That's so niche, and I don't want to wait for them to swing out on me in particular just to bounce them.
Yeah, I have yet to see this card be that good or be worth holding up 4 mana for. Another card that's not really worth holding up 4 mana for is Commit to Memory. It's not that efficient because what you're getting is the backside, but we don't want the backside. I actually think we lose the game if we cast the backside. Please stop putting wheels in precons. They're not good in just random blue decks.
It might be okay if you're using it in 1v1, but with everyone else on the field in a 4-player game, you're giving them way more resources than you're getting.
Yeah, we actually got this other card too. It's called Metallic Mimic. I really just don't like this in Typal decks. I understand that just the idea of putting a counter on something can go infinite. That's not what Typal decks are doing, though. So this is just like, early, it's okay. It's about the same as give your guys +1/+1. It sticks around if this thing dies. But late in the game, this is trash. This is a completely dead draw. It also doesn't count as a Merfolk in your deck. So, like, you don't get any triggers from, like, when you cast a Merfolk or bring a Merfolk back from your graveyard or search for, like, with Kindred Summons, look, search for Merfolk. You're not going to find this thing. I don't like it. Was that made clear?
BZ doesn't like this, and I had to tell him, save it for the video.
I started talking about it behind the scenes.
That's a God of the Sea is also something we'd cut. I don't really love this. Sure, it's like, ooh, the sea and merfolk and gods, but I don't think it has a lot of synergy.
The Flavor Judge, A+. Does this fit in my Merfolk Explore deck? C-. And finally, the most controversial cut of this entire precon. This is the Explore deck, and we're cutting Explore.
I mean, you can't just base cards off of the name alone.
That's a rookie mistake. It doesn't really help. It's just kind of like filler, and it's totally fine, but it's filler. I'd rather play another Merfolk. I'd rather advance my game plan more. This is just like air.
It's okay, but we want to make your decks better.
But that just leaves the best among these precons. That's Blood Rites. It's a $40 precon led by Clavileño. First of the Blessed, 1 white-black for a 2/2. Whenever you attack, target attacking vampire that isn't a demon becomes a demon in addition to its other types. It gains when this creature dies, draw a card and create a tap 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token with flying. So like super duper word salad. My eyes glazed over a little bit, but it gives you a little bit of like board wipe resiliency, and then also it's like card draw in the command zone, and it's whenever you attack, not whenever this thing attacks. So you play a stupid 2-drop vampire, then you play this, and then you attack, and it becomes a demon, and it's just got the awesome text on it. This card is like, I think it even carries the precon a little bit because it's so immediately great.
I am so excited to put this in the 99 of Edgar. This really is going to shine there, especially since it says target attacking vampire, not non-token.
Yeah, this card is sweet. And it like just barely edged out the Merfolk deck. It kind of just comes down to vampires are better than Merfolk. They both have a lot of the creatures that you would expect, but the card quality on vampires is just way higher, so this is just going to be a better deck.
Absolutely. There's just way more support that's been given prior because there's been like, you know, the Innistrad block and the Ixalan block, not just the Ixalan block.
Yeah, and you may have thought that the best reprint was in the Pirates deck, but it is not. The best reprint of all of these is Exquisite Blood, which is a $35 card. It kind of feels like it was just randomly thrown in here because I think the deck would be okay even without it. But they're just like, here's this awesome reprint, and I'm totally here for it. Please keep doing this for reprints.
It's a flavor win, absolutely, and I'm excited to see it in because they keep putting it in only the vampire stuff, right? They put in the Vampire Secret Lair, they're putting in the Vampire deck, and, you know, gotta give one to flavor.
It was even in Crimson Vow as like an alternate special thing. Blood Gas, I love this card, $10. It totally works too, because you want to sacrifice it, you want it to die, and you can keep bringing it back to keep using it with Clavileño, whose name I did not forget. That was a cut for a different reason.
Another reprint that BZ is going to be not so happy to hear is Twilight Prophet, $4. But it's going to be closer to a bulk rare now, which you might be happy about.
I think it's bulk rare power, but what the next level is, I want it to be $50 so no one can play it. Because that would be how often I recommend it.
I mean, I think it's okay at like a certain power level, but I would never pay what it was at, which was 20-something.
I'm memeing a little bit. It's totally fine. It's just a completely fine card. I think when you start upgrading your deck to be more highly tuned, this is one of the first cards that goes. Lenda Duskrose is $10, and she's sweet. You want to be sacking vampires. You want vampires to like be dying and then maybe coming back with blood gas, and then you got 4/3 vampires that are vampire demons, and then the Lenda's just like, great, I'm a 20/20.
Yeah, and then she's going to explode into 20 vampires, which you can just keep targeting. Everyone's going to be like, well, I can just eat it, and then you can the combat damage with a bigger creature, and then you're just going to make so many vampire creature demon token flying. There's so many words.
So many words. Pact of the Serpent, I'm happy to see. It's like a nice typal card draw spell. If you got 6 vampires, 3 mana, draw 6, lose 6. Yes.
Those reprints are totaling up to $64 with Exquisite Blood hard carrying, obviously.
I mean, just those 5 is 60. This precon is 40.
Yeah, that is a really good deal. But there are also some really good new cards. Dusk Legion Sergeant, 1 black for a 2/2 menace. And if you pay 1 black and sacrifice him, non-token vampires you control gain persist until end of turn. I really like that. That's gonna save an entire board, and that's like if you don't want to put Teferi's Protection in, this could be a little alternate for it.
It definitely, like, Teferi's Protection is better, but then this card is more synergy. So when you're like start to snowball and get your things going, this is gonna push you farther ahead when it works. It's kind of like a Selfless Spear variant. I think it's pretty sweet. If you can reset the counters somehow and like negate the -1s with +1s, then you're really in business. But this is just a nice, dorky, like evasive vampire for this deck that gives you protection against most board wipes.
Promise of Aclazotz is also a really awesome one, and I'm so happy to see they actually brought in adventures to here.
Even though we just had it, they're like, here's some more.
The adventure side says if you pay 2 and a black and you sack a non-demon, you make a 4/3 demon with flying. And the main side is a 1 and a black enchantment that says at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a non-demon creature to populate. That's gonna be great in any token deck that runs black.
Yeah, forget vampires. This is a really sweet tokens card. You make beefy tokens that are hard to make, then you start cloning them, and it just makes it like really tough to deal with. I love Populate, and in black, I think this could make for a lot of interesting brews. We also have Order of the Sacred Dusk, aka Vampire Fireball. This is 6 black/white for a 6/6 Convoke Flying Lifelink Haste Exalted. Unreal that has 5 keywords, and then other vampires you control also have Exalted. This card is not broken. I just think it's funny that it's got keyword soup on it. So if you tap 8 vampires, you can cast a spell for free. Now you have a 0 mana 6/6 with all those abilities. And then when you attack with it, you have 8 other vampires, which means it gets +9/+9 and attacks for 15. And it has lifelink. And hey, so you're gaining all that life right away. It really is like a giant fireball. It's a sweet card. I think this card's awesome.
This is great. You get the defense because you're getting the life back. You get the offense because this is big coming in. So.
Yeah. The only thing is, it's like, it's only terrible or amazing. Like, as you have more and more vampires, it only gets more and more amazing. But like, if you have no vampires, it's trash.
The lowest of ceilings in the highest of ceilings.
The lowest ceiling in the multiverse.
Good ceiling.
Good ceilings.
But if you want to upgrade with some budget ads, of course we've got you. One of them is Path to Exile. So happy to see this is under $1. You're going to be getting one more exile effect aside from Swords, which is already included.
Yeah, honorary budget bomb, Path to Exile, super sweet. Generous gift, gonna work super well. I mean, I wanted to like bump up the removal in this deck just a little bit, just this much, if you can see that.
The tiniest bit. Forerunner of the Legion is also great because you're going to tutor your best vampire right to the top.
I mean, basically, that whole cycle made it in this video. I think we might have not mentioned the pirate one, but guess what? There's a pirate one.
Yeah, and Malakir Blood Witch. This is one of my favorites to actually tutor for because your board's going to be big. You're going to slap it down, and each opponent's going to lose life equal to the number of vampires you have, and you're going to be getting a big, solid chunk.
Yeah, it's Vampire of Asphodel, what it is. This card's sweet, and the deck does need a little bit ways to like push over the top, get the damage in. Malakir Blood Witch is sweet. I was surprised it wasn't in here. Maybe because Malakir's not on Ixalan. Neither is Thassa, so I don't know.
I don't think they're really thinking about flavor, but maybe they forgot her.
They forgot poor old Malakir Blood Witch. Edgar Charm Room is here too. He can pump vampires. He can pump out vampires. Good for you, Edgar. As for the non-budget ads, if you want to bling things out a little bit, I'm thinking Veto. I'm thinking Pizza Man Veto, Thorn of the Dusk Rose, life gain. You can build up a board of vampires, pump all your mana into giving them lifelink, and then kind of fireball people. It's another like non-combat's in quotes, but non-combat way to win, even if they have blockers.
I'm really actually surprised that this wasn't in, considering it is a vampire deck and it does combo with Exquisite Blood.
Well, they probably didn't want that. So it does combo. Yeah, if you want a combo in this deck, just got to throw Pizza Man Veto in. He's got you covered. Bloodline Keeper can like poop out vampires and then can make +2/+2, which is actually a pretty big boost, which I like.
Yeah, because you're also going to be targeting the 2/2 vampires, and then they'll come back as 4/3 vampire demons, and they're going to be expendable because they're tokens. Anguished Unmaking is another great removal spell in here to get a little bit of exile. You know, we just want to beef up the removal just a little bit.
Yeah, amp it up. That's totally fair. Vampire Nocturnus. It's kind of like a mini Overrun-esque, assuming the top card of your library is cool. I'm here to risk it. It's too flavorful. Basically, if it's nighttime, your vampires get huge. That's like the flavor of the card. I love it.
And Herald Horn is a great one in here too. You're going to get a cost reduction. You're going to be getting drawing cards. This is just a really good one that I'm surprised they didn't have in here, considering it was in other precons in the cycle.
Yeah, maybe they just didn't want to reprint it that hard. But Herald Horn's pretty sweet. As for cuts, honorable mention, Temple of the False God. Get out. Also, Timothar, Baron of Bats. I feel like me and everyone else on the planet kind of just wrote this card off and still haven't given it a chance, and I still won't. It's like a lot of setup. It's cool flavor. Let me know if you like Timothar. I just can't like him. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think that it is cool flavor, I guess. But if I want bats, I'm probably going to be going for Mirkwood bats because you're going to be making so many tokens. I feel
if
like,
you want the bat flavor, go for
yeah,
Mirkwood.
that's what I would do at least.
Okay, all right. Outer End is just worse than the cards we were talking about. Generous Gift and Anguish Unmaking are better. So hopefully you're switching in at least one of those and just get this out of there.
Kindred Boon is not good in my opinion. You're going to be paying a lot of mana, and if you slap it down on turn 4, it's going to do nothing.
Yeah, it's like not worth it. I don't know why none of the other ones are really asking any mana of you, and this one's like, hold on, give me all your mana. I was like, I don't want to give you all my mana. Nighthawk Scavenger's cool. I think it's pretty good in life gain decks. I just don't know if this deck is a life gain deck. Maybe if you want to branch off, totally leave it in. Just don't put in Vampire Nighthawk because that card's worse.
I think in life gain decks too, next one might be okay, but I don't think it's great in here. Vona, Butcher of Megan. Megan?
That's what I always say.
Okay, that's fine. I think that just destroying permanents and stuff is a little bit slow. It's not that good.
You don't have the life always to pay for this, so like get the life and then you're talking about a sweet card, but we don't really have that here.
But if you want to talk about more precons, we actually did a video right here about Doctor Who, the last set.
Yeah, did you even remember the Doctor Who came out? Because we kind of forgot about it. A tip for the day, though, always keep clearance Halloween candy on hand.